Hi guys, you alright? How's it going? Feeling good, feeling cool, feeling relaxed? It's nice. I'm English, I'll always complain about weather, but it is nice, it's a little cooler, isn't it? It's nice, it's a little cooler in here as well. Guys, if you're outside, it looks hot out there, come indoors, join us. There's room down the front, there's room down the sides, there's a cushion with your name on it, sir. Yeah, there is. Guys, I said earlier, I've been looking forward to this talk. Perhaps more than any other, and I genuinely do mean it, because who here has ridden the parts of the Trans-Euro Trail? TET fans? Yeah, it's an incredible resource, and so to have people who have ridden so much of it is a privilege and a joy. So I've written you a little intro, as I do to everybody, so let's do it. So, my next guests. Most friendships are tested by choosing a restaurant. I don't know if yours is. You guys decided to test yours by spending, is it 2 months, riding the Trans-Euro Trail from the UK to Greece. Mud, mountains, mechanical worries, border crossings, questionable campsites, countless opportunities to have fun and perhaps fall out with each other. Somehow you survived. More impressively, you're still friends. Ladies and gents, please welcome Maja and Lara. It's all fake for the cameras, isn't it? You hate each other, but now you're stuck with it. So obviously we're going to talk about the TET, but you guys, it's clear you guys are really good mates, just from the hug on stage. So let's go to the beginning. How did you guys meet?
It was Twitter, wasn't it?
Yeah. Twitter, X, whatever it's called these days. Because we both rode Ducati Super Sports.
We have great taste.
Very, very different.
And so somebody that followed us both said you should meet. And we thought, well, obviously, why not? So we did, and had a ride out together, and then through, how long ago was that?
Pre-COVID, whatever that is.
A long time ago. So we just kind of started meeting up and doing little ride outs, and we did Scotland, and Lara came over for the longest day ride of the Welsh longest day. I think it was in New Magazine actually. And the night before I was saying, I'm turning 50, I want to do something big, I was going to do this big trip on my own, and Lara goes, no, I'm coming with you, and that was it really.
How cool is it I don't know if you guys have had sort of like biking mates, but as I've got older I've found it harder and harder to find people to come on trips with me. Is it like having a mate that you can just say, yeah, I'll come and do that with you, and they follow it through?
It's pretty incredible because Lara gave up her job for this trip.
Oh wow, oh you really wanted to go then?
Yeah, it's when all the kind of planets aligned, and I was just getting a bit frustrated with the corporate job, and I wanted an excuse to make a change. And sometimes everything comes together if you speak to the right people, have the right conversations, and go, I think something different needs to happen. And when you've got a friend who's like, I think I want to do this, it was more FOMO. I was like, that sounds amazing. This gives me an excuse and a bit of a timeline to get my proverbial together and say yes to something and actually follow up. And I think both of us agree that once we say yes to something, it happens. We've got a reputation of that, both of our personal lives and together.
So basically you're a bad influence. That's it. Or a good influence, one of the two.
Fantastic.
Well, you came up with the idea to ride the TET as your trip. Why the TET? Actually, does everyone here know what the Trans-Euro Trail is? Is there anyone who doesn't? So the Trans-Euro Trail is a trail that runs across Europe with as much off-road or trail riding involved as possible. It goes to pretty much every country in Europe, is that right? Do you know what? You guys have written all of it. You explain.
I'm not sure there's an awful lot of it in Germany, but apart from that, I think all the countries are connected in some way. I was getting into off-roading, riding, and I thought I'm going to ride to Slovenia. That was my end goal because that's where I'm from, so it would have been a nice trip going home. But then as we started talking about it, it just grew and grew and grew, and we thought, well, we got more time, why don't we go further down south? for me, visiting countries of former Yugoslavia was very special. Some I've never been to, like Montenegro, and it was a bit apprehensive, but we thought, well, yeah, if we're going to do something, let's do it big.
Go big, and go home,
And
which
go
is
home.
there. Why did you decide to do London to Greece? Why Greece is the end point?
I think it was down to, sorry, yeah.
No, you're great at these
I think it was.
You do need to speak too, though. I got you a chair and everything.
No, I'm mechanic, and
Yeah.
so that's where we're at.
Should I answer all of my questions?
Honestly, I have no idea where I was most of the time. I was tour guide.
She's not joking. It's like, what country are we in?
What's this
What was the
one?
question again?
So you're from Slovenia. It was really interesting going to the Balkans, but you did UK to Greece. The TET runs throughout Europe. Why that route?
It was mostly, well, the TET made sense because we didn't have to do much thinking. Well, I didn't have to do much thinking in terms of finding the routes. You just follow what's already there. Obviously, that was adjusted to take in the places we wanted to see that weren't on the TET route, and diverted where we wanted to. I planned it so we had plenty of time to rest and stop where we wanted to. So if there's a place that we really liked, why not have an extra day and explore the area? We knew our deadline to come back, and it kind of worked out perfectly. Now, Honda, being super kind in lending us the bikes, agreed for us to leave them in Verona, North Italy, which then kind of meant, oh, we don't have to ride back the same way. That suits me perfectly. I don't like doing the same road twice if I can help it. And it just happened to work out that we had enough time to go all the way to Greece, and there is a ferry from Igoumenitsa to Venice, and from there it's a short ride to Verona where we dropped the bikes off and we flew home. The whole thing wasn't planned to a T, it just flew, and it just worked out in the best way possible, in timing and in the routes and countries.
Are you jumping in there?
Yeah, no, it actually makes sense because I'm more of the planning, execution. There must be a spreadsheet kind of style.
Spreadsheet of
That's the opposite of me.
And what was good is that we balanced each other out because we'd decide whether we were camping in the evening or whether we were hoteling, and it would come to the afternoon and we'd just see how we feel, and it encouraged me to be a little bit more relaxed, go with the flow, see how we feel, what the weather was doing, and it rather than planning a particular schedule of where we had to for certain points. So it's good to learn that.
So I was going to ask you about the bikes in a little while, but you did mention that you rode CRF 300 rallies. Anyone else got that bike? CRF 300 rally? I enjoyed it, but for people here and me, I guess, how do you go about asking Honda to lend you bikes for a trip that they're probably going to get pretty battered on?
Yes, so it's kind of apart from a long-term relationship because I have we both have a fair bit of experience in the motorbike industry and some of the journalism I've done so far. As long as they're going to get good content out of it, not particularly like brand specific, but just basically going out having a good time on their motorbikes is a good thing usually for different brands. And knowing the kind of marketing manager, it was a conversation of how do you like this idea, and if you tell them early enough budget-wise, it becomes more realistic and possible. And plus, they know that their off-road bikes are for off-road use. I'm not going to go and pose on an A-road on them. Like, you want to actually see what they can do, and that shows both their capability and how far you can get on them. And to be honest, with our 300 rally, it's pretty limitless if you really have the right attitude.
It's kind of proof of concept. If it can do this trip, it can do pretty much anything. Yeah. So were you pleased with the choice of bike? Because if you weren't aware of the TET, it's kind of been designed for people on trail bikes, enduro bikes. Although lots of people do them on bigger adventure bikes. But were you? I guess Honda lent you them, so you're going to say relatively nice things. But were you pleased to have that sort of bike?
Fundamentally, yes. For me, I'm a horsepower kind of person, so I do enjoy a little bit of front wheel lack of traction sometimes, and it's really hard to do that aggressively on a rally. But the point being is that I think we both describe them as our mountain goats, because they do just get anywhere. If you're going to slightly tweak the tyres, give you something a bit more knobbly, the 29 brake horsepower out the back is incredibly capable, and the suspension standard, although there's some great upgrades you can get with the Rally Raid team, the standard suspension is suspiciously good. If you're on, if you kind of, I remember an amazing moment, you have to remind me which country, sorry Maya, but there was just amazing, like going through a mountain pass, and there was kind of open trails, nothing too scary, but feeling so connected with the bike, and almost it's plush, a bit wallowy, but just amazing to feel. We also carried about 30 kilograms of luggage, which is a lot, so I kind of took the responsibility of mechanically preparing the bikes, and the only real option we had was to whack the preload up to max, in order just to manage the fact that now and then the toolbox would grab the rear wheel if you had a really good sink. But I felt like, I like my rally so much that I bought it basically as a result of that trip.
Oh well,
that's our mile.
Quite a good review.
If anyone wants us, one careful lady owner.
I'm not sure how careful the careful is.
It's absolutely abused, but it's enough to make it's just so fundamentally capable. It doesn't give you the feedback an enduro bike's going to give you. It doesn't have this brain melting power of a bigger bike, or really do big plush touring, but it just does everything really well. It's almost like a bit of a Goldilocks. But if I could just have a button that just gave me another 50 brakes so I could spend more time up, that would be amazing. But other than that, no, we're good.
I feel like I'm in a Bike World video right now. I got the review firsthand. I like this. This is cool. You work for Bike World as well, don't you?
Yeah, I just tap in as a journalist now.
Yeah.
Chris isn't available.
Yeah. So for people thinking about, okay, I'd like to go and ride some or a big section of the TET across Europe. Before you left, did you need to do a lot of planning? Is it all sorted out for you? Is it just a case of download the GPX from each country and go?
It is actually that straightforward. It took me a while to figure out how to download in sections and work from that, but it's fairly easy once you get it. Then it's the case of reviewing it and figuring out how many kilometers, miles we're going to do each day, what's realistic, where are we going to stop, trying to figure out on a map approximately this is the area we're going to sleep in, or we're going to plan a little bit of where do we need to buy lunch if it's going to be a lot of miles off-road. So you're in the middle of nowhere, if you haven't got enough water, if you haven't got any food with you, you can get in a bit of a trouble. But you're never really that far away from civilization because it is Europe. It was just, download, go for it. I spent time, like I said before, working out what else is in the area, so you're not just missing all the good bits of all the must-see things, for example. So cut out some of the bits in France, I think, which was just sort of going around rutted fields, and we thought, well, we've done that, let's move on to the next bit. Which gave us time to relax more on a beach in Croatia and things like that.
Yeah, we needed to stop. It was the Australians that made that happen, though.
It was the Australians' fault, yes.
Because you made a series of YouTube videos about your journey, didn't you? Has anyone seen them? Yeah. Please, if you haven't, please check them out. They're great. And I love the fact that one of the things I like the most is you guys make time to enjoy yourselves. It's not a hardship, this journey. It was very much an adventure that you wanted to enjoy. Was that key from you to the start?
I think it was my job to pace us, because Lara would go 100 miles an hour and she'd finish the journey in 7 minutes because you're very fast. For me, it was about experiencing as much as we can of the people that we meet on route, the food, the sights, and spend some time in those countries to really get the feel for them, rather than race from A to B to C and then go, yeah, I've been there, I've done it, but then not remembering anything, because it all becomes a bit of a blur. And I think also it's my job to make sure that I made us stop and rest, have a day off. And at the beginning, Lara was a bit like, no, we did a couple of weekends in Wales to start with, because we wanted to do the whole planning, because I haven't camped for 30 years and I was very reluctant to do that.
You haven't camped for 30 years?
Correct, yes.
And then went for 2 months solid?
Yeah, I know. And so we planned to do a couple of weekends away. A, can I camp? Can I hack it? And B, let's get those bikes through their paces in Wales, which is probably one of the toughest TET sections that we've ridden. And I think we had 4 days, and we ridden for 2 days and we stopped for one.
Yeah.
And Lara went, why are we stopping? Why can't we just keep going? And then the next morning you woke up and you went, actually, I'm really glad that we're having a break. So it was, I was being a sensible one in that respect, I think.
But there were exactly, so there are 3 things to test. One is like the bikes. One was your appetite for camping. Thankfully, you figured that one out. But then also we had to test each other. So when you're going to go on a trip for 2 months, we had to learn about how we were going to work together. So I think one of our first trips, we deliberately went and got, in fact, there's that motorbike out there, I went and got that stuck in mud because I took the wrong bike on the free rally. But we deliberately beached it, like fully submerged in, it was basically so muddy that it stood up by itself. On the right tyres, as you can tell. But we decided to figure out how we're going to haul that out of a mess that we were in without falling down these like random deep puddles, and try to like work together because no one is going to come and help you. We had to learn. And then what we also did when we were training on the rallies was try and get up a certain little patch of road called, is Isbitiafan, if I pronounce that correctly, where it's just, with the right momentum and a bit more skill than maybe an enduro bike, because that's perhaps we were throwing excuses at the rally, which we'll talk about later. We both were, it took us 3 hours to get up it, and we didn't in the end. We abandoned it, yeah. But what I found happened was, I got so obsessed with getting up there, and the time in the day was missing, and we were approaching dinner and evening and getting back to the campsite, but I was just so adamant trying to get a bike that was tired and hot and the clutch was going and we had all our luggage on it, and I was just adamant I was going to do it. And Maya was like, do you think we should stop? And I couldn't hear that, I was so tunnel visioned. And Maya's like, it might be a good idea if we turned around. I just was like, no, we've got to go to the top of this hill because there's a challenge and I've got to achieve that challenge because high performance kind of attitude. And eventually I stopped and went, oh, okay. And it became our safe word, didn't it, Maya?
It became the word where it meant that's it, no more, before, try just a little bit further, maybe have a little more power to do whatever we can. And then when we got to the end, he was like, I think this belief, and I think we're giving up, this is the end.
How often did you find yourself cursing under your breath, being like, oh my God, no. Did she need a telling off or an arm around her shoulder?
A couple of moments like that, I think. Probably for both, to be honest.
Yeah.
I'm very stubborn too, and Lara tried to help me a couple of times. I was like, no, I'm doing this on my own. But it was the same sort of situation where I had to go, okay, look, don't be ridiculous. This is not about winning any awards, it's just getting through this together, and we are a team. And I think that was it. The first 2 weeks for sure, we were just learning how to be a team and how to...
What have I got myself into? She won't come off the hill!
It's also, things like you said, getting each other bikes out of mud, or we had puncture and how to work together. Where do we stop? How the conversations as well. We were so different in personalities, and this is 11-year age gap as well. So thinking is different, and learning to. I think it was the best one was I like to think out loud. So if I have a problem, I'm just going to talk about it until I figure it out, and Lara will jump in with a solution. And it's just like man and woman always. So I don't want you to tell me the solution. I want to get to this myself. And so that was, I could see you were biting your tongue afterwards, and that worked really well. So equally,
Let's go, you jumping up and down.
but inside, she was going, Jess, I
Put
don't
your
want
hand
you to
up,
do.
come on.
Yeah, there's a lesson in listening, oddly. Listening, just letting. I realised that how you solve problems was just by talking them through, whereas how I solve a problem is like solution, idea, solution, idea, solution, idea. And it was actually just stop and listen and let it come out. It's great.
Yeah.
So let's get back to riding the TET, a bit of logistics. So you've downloaded your GPX files. What did you use to follow the route, and how easy is the Trans-Euro Trail to follow across Europe? Are some countries easier than other? Is it $1, or is there a signpost every 50 yards?
No signpost, funnily enough. It's not too hard to follow the route. There were a couple of bits that we had to stop or backtrack, mostly due to not paying attention really and just going where you think you should be going, but the route is actually turning left, or I think we got lost a couple of times.
Yeah, but up to a point, you could almost fit an off-road 4x4 vehicle down them sometimes. So when we first found the TET, we were trying to wiggle down this like narrow bit of field, and then we went one hedgerow to the right. It was like, oh, this is clearly the path.
Where was this? In the UK or France?
Firstly in France, yeah. And to be honest, the TET isn't. It's become much more popular and much more navigable than it perhaps was when it first came out. So it becomes a bit more obvious. It's like a bit of an off-road motorway, if you can describe it that way, because you do.
It's become there are many bikes.
With many bikes on it.
You meet them and you kind of know you're on the right path.
Yeah.
And what did you use to find your way?
Well, being a professional tour guide, obviously I use two systems. One is Android and one is iPhone, so we use DMD for most of the time.
What was that, sorry?
DMD.
DMD, yeah.
And then Osmond as well.
Osmond?
Osmond.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And was that pretty accurate to finding your way?
It was interesting because you couldn't say one's better than the other. In certain circumstances, one was better than the other one. So having the two working together helped us an awful lot.
What was quite good from the DMD setup is that on the rallies they've got this crossbar, and so you can get the DMD phone, which is a ruggedized Android phone which you can have any app on, and then that's hardwired in and physically locked in and rattle proof that sits on the top of the rally screen, and that made it quite easy to have the phone, which you almost like a burner phone that was purely there for navigation, as well as our own phones for backup, as it were. Which is good to see it. Yeah.
So how easy was it to get lost, and how often did you get lost?
Not very often. We never got lost. We lost each other once or twice when you went ahead and I slowed down, and then you took the wrong turn.
Who was better at navigation? Who? Yeah.
100%. Now and then I took over, and it was I wasn't crap, but it's when you're used to following someone for a while. But without playing it too much, you have to play your part in leading, because there's a lot more concentration to happen, a lot of like checking and moving. So what we actually ended up doing was almost like finding a bit of a flow for each other. So where we might have missed a turning, because sometimes you can get that advanced planning when you're looking ahead, I would go up front, and then we kind of move through each other in that way. We found it was either really good progress for like gates or just navigating certain terrain, but it ended up being a dual thing, because you're concentrating so much, and you know that with your day job in running tours, your brain is almost like, which way am I, when's the next turning, whereas we kind of took that in turns eventually. I wasn't a complete passenger once I got the gist of it.
You didn't find your solution in front of you and just stick to it. That's the other.
Yeah.
Does anyone here ride green roads, green lanes in the UK? Yeah. Do you wish there was a world without gates? Yeah. They're probably the biggest bugbear. Are there gates strewn across Europe, or does it become relatively gate-free?
It becomes quite gate-free.
Oh,
actually.
paradise!
I think if you go riding in Wales, you are just gates, and each one has a different system for opening it. And I'm convinced the farmers are just doing this as a joke to see, can you figure out this lock, then you can pass.
It's so weird, it's like an IQ test, and you're already like shredders because gate number 57, but then there's an IQ test involved. But what I also quite like is when you're on your own, it's like park up the bike, wobble off the side stands, try and balance it somewhere, probably downhill and with all your luggage. But when you're with a pair, the gates become a lot easier, and we'd hold each other's bikes for them. So we had this kind of routine where like up front, and then you get off the bike, the other person would hold it through, then you don't need to start it up again, roll it through on the clutch, don't get on it, then they hold the bike for you. It just makes it flow, and as much as like it's all great to do solo travel, there's some conveniences of this challenge of doing these things as a team. It's really good.
Synchronized gate work, it's like a dance up a Welsh hillside. This might sound like a silly question, but you've ridden a huge swathe of the TET now. How much off-road experience do you think people would need to go and do a journey similar to yours? Because it is an off-road trail predominantly, isn't it?
Yeah, it depends on the countries you go into. So for example, Slovenia is just gravel roads through woodlands, it's nothing. Montenegro nearly killed me.
Nearly killed you. How so?
I don't know whether it was a combination of being tired, just sort of, it was hot, and maybe partly thinking I'm done with all this because of just big boulders everywhere, and if they were moving under your wheels, and I was just really struggling. So my riding style is more delicate, going through obstacles where you open the throttle and just right to the top of them. So I take a lot more time, and it's sort of, oh, but it's not working, it doesn't have enough power, blah blah blah. Anyway, we got to a point exhausted, and I think that was the time I said, right, we're stopping here. There's a dried out riverbed and a flat piece of grass at the top. I thought, we're going to wild camp for the first time. We got food, we got water. Are we good with that? And actually, that was probably one of the best nights of the whole trip.
Yes.
Because what ended up happening is, once you look around, you think, well, it's not that middle of nowhere. I can see there's a car, there's a little hill, and there are two men coming down. And I said, well, I'm just going to ask them if we can camp here in case that's their land. So in my broken, what used to be Serbo-Croatian, that doesn't exist anymore, whatever language that was, they understood me. I said, hey, can we come here? Is it okay? And they said, no, you come up. My sister will look after you. So we looked up, and there was a house hidden behind the trees, and she was coming down. So he shouted, he goes, we've got two, these two are lost. He didn't say who, so not lost. I said, they need to stay over. Will you look after them? And she said, well, tell them to bugger off. I was like, thanks you. And he goes, are they two girls? Oh, no, come. You're staying in the house, I'm looking after you. And we literally had the best night. She lived completely off grid. Her brother, an actual shepherd, came down from the mountains with a huge flock of sheep we helped, which was really exciting. And, she cooked for us. You stayed in the house. I slept under the stars because it was just so beautiful. No light pollution. And, she gave us a bucket of hot water and the ladles for showers. You're standing on the side of her road, Starkers. Nobody anywhere, but it was so beautiful.
Starkers?
Yeah, you're like, we're having a shower, right? What are you going to do? Okay, I'll undress, fine. And then you go, where's the toilet? She goes, anywhere you like.
Just careful where you tread then.
There's a big rock there, we're going to keep that away from it.
It's the shit rock, yeah.
It's the shit rock. But yeah, so it was interesting because it was late at night, we didn't see anybody, but then the next day when we started the ride back, to carry on, we were passed by many bikers, so I could see why she was just fed up with all everybody coming past the house wanting something. She was like, tell them to go away.
Did you find a lot of kindness from locals and from fellow bikers on the road? Is it quite a community?
So on that particular trail, there's one guy who helped me with my bike to get a bit further up the road. It was a little bit easier. He was doing TET on his own.
Yeah.
Jacob, that's right, yeah. Or Jakob, actually, yeah, you're right. But other than that, always in campsites we would see other bikers, and we would chat to them. If it wasn't campsite and we stopped for lunch, people just come and be curious, and I think maybe, being two women on bikes, they're even more interested in hearing our story than, a bunch of men.
And that moment up when trying to get out of Sabo's house was like his VTA fan again, but we didn't have a choice. There was no turnaround. We were down in this valley, we had to get the other side, so there was bigger rocks and boulders than we'd ever seen. And in our heads we were like, oh, we just don't have the right bikes for this. We'd seen people getting up there on like 690s or 10RAs, just kind of getting on with it.
Dancing up.
And I just couldn't quite fathom, and we were like, oh, it's our rallies, it must be the bikes. Very wrong, very, very wrong. So Jakob basically got on yours and went and just rode it up, legs akimbo everywhere, like just wrestling the thing. I was like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it, we can do it, let's crack on then, shall we? And what that did was, instead of using where we kind of done the training, so with the Honda Adventure Centre, we'd learnt about the tractability of a low-powered felt four-stroke, basically. Like, you can chug in second and third, let the big knobblies just do all the work for you and have a nice little chug up. But there's also an unlock you need to find with momentum that we both cracked in Montenegro, which was like, pin it and maintain that speed, and it doesn't matter where the front is dancing around. It's really hard to do this when I've got a microphone to my face, but you've just got a really, really bouncy front end, and it doesn't matter as long as you've got momentum. It just bumps off stuff, and somehow you end up in what eventually will be a straight line. And that's what the penny drop moment was for us. because Montenegro only got more challenging and technically worse, and we had to get from Sabos to like the next destination, and we thought we'd achieved this huge climb getting out of this big rally in the mountainside, and then we ended up at the bottom of another one, and that was a huge unlock moment to the point where we had to kind of record it because you were flying.
Well, I think that's exactly something just clicked, and seeing Jakob take my bike up there and Lara did it, and I'm feeling a bit like, oh, I could have done that right. I didn't try hard enough, right? So at the next stage when we got to this horrible hill, you could see it. I thought, no, I'm not stopping. I'm going, and literally we were screaming in our helmets.
Yeah, we had to turn their intercom.
Oh, I'm doing it. She's like, oh my god, who's this woman?
I was like, who is this? Who's Maja? I think we left her in the other country. The best one was following you up there, right? And you loved the back came out, and you did this awesome like dab, dragged the back round, and then went straight back up the hill. I was like, oh my god, she's my hero. It's awesome. And it was just unlocking momentum. We found this new friend with us, and there were three of us then. That's three fingers, Lara, well done. And it felt like we felt unstoppable because we got to the most challenging part of the trip, and we could tackle some proper terrain with our 30 kilograms of luggage, with our standard suspension, on our little 29 horsepower rallies. We just felt on top of the world because we were.
Yeah, that was brilliant.
So which country stands out for you guys as just the most enjoyable place to ride the Trans-Euro Trail?
I think Montenegro was the biggest surprise in terms of how beautiful it is and how tough it was. I really enjoyed Croatia as well. And we actually bumped into the Dinaric rally guys, so we felt quite hardcore because, you know, if they're riding there and so are we, this is cool. We didn't do very much in Bosnia, we just kind of kicked in a little bit to have a look. But yeah, I would say Montenegro and Croatia for me.
Yeah, I totally agree. Also, because of the pace and even though it was a kind of extended holiday with some pace and camping in hotels, and to the point, pretty tired. But it made it just made the views more majestic because you'd earned the way to get there. It's not like you fly in and fly out. We travelled 3,000 kilometres to get to these points, and there's just the aquamarine of the water and the way it sits in these huge valleys either side. It's just mind-blowing and beautiful, and that's what it stays in my head, definitely.
Fantastic. I've got loads more questions, but I'd like to offer you guys the opportunity to ask some questions about the trip, about you guys, about riding the TET. There's a gentleman there already. Here we go, sir.
Not quite.
Sorry, all I could see was the hat. A beautiful hat.
I was just wondering, was it stock clutches on your bikes, and what was the most used tool?
So did you have stock clutches on your bikes, and what was your most used tool?
We absolutely had stock clutches. I was paranoid about that because of just some feedback about it. And what we just had the discipline to do was just, instead of burning the clutches, just trying to let go as much as possible just to give them a break. But again, when the momentum thing happened, it became largely unnecessary. And the most used tool was, I remember the name of it, but basically it's probably a 5mm or a 6mm socket for fixing handguards. All the time, like, handguards are important, but all you're doing is just fettling, because you fall off, the handguard grabs the clutch or grabs the brake, and then you're just fixing that. So that was the most used tool. Yeah.
Did you have like Buster style handguards on there?
Yes.
You did.
Yeah. And they're great because they're going to save you a lever, which I had backup solved, but it's a hassle. But yeah, we're just constantly fixing handguards, to be honest.
Any other questions? Yes.
Use standard fuel tanks, or how do you take your spare fuel?
Did you have standard fuel tanks, and did you take any spare fuel?
We didn't carry any spare fuel, and they were standard size tanks. Again, it's Europe, so you're never really that far from civilization. It's just being in a habit of making sure that when you know you're going down something a bit tricky, or you're going to be quite a few miles into it, that you've got enough fuel to go through it. None of the sections are so long that you need to carry extra. You're always near a fuel station.
Yeah, the rally tanks are pretty big anyway, like 250 miles probably per tank. So yeah, you never really worry about that. And the TET is off-road, but not truly out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah, I think you know, 250 miles you do on a tank, you're never going to do that in a day on that kind of terrain. So.
Good stuff. Did I see any other hat? Yes, over here, the gentleman with the glasses.
Are you standing up all the time with stop suspension? Or when you've got luggage and the softer, can you sit and ride it across this terrain?
Are you standing up all day, or were you sat down with the with your luggage on?
You're going to do that one?
Well, are we talking about auto mode?
Oh, we're talking about trim days.
Oh yeah, there's two things. One, mostly standing up off-road, inevitably, and before I come to that bit, we also do armchair mode, so particularly in France, so if you kind of need a bit of a break, you can sit back on your luggage and kind of sit like this on the rally. Because it's got stock suspension, it's pretty chilled, you can kind of ride like this a bit more easily.
Like
It's very
cruiser
nice.
style, I like that, yeah.
So that was armchair mode that we enjoyed when we're just cutting through some, if you're in the road or some slow roads where it's safe. But particularly on the CRFs, we got twin pegs fitted, so they're heel support as well as the foot plate, and it just makes them so comfortable for standing up for ages, because you're not on the balls of your feet all the time, and I love standing up on the CRFs as a result of that. It's really, really, really good. Yeah, they're really good.
We've got time for one more question. Ah, yes.
You mentioned that there were some people in Montenegro that helped you, that, you know, there was this community that they invited you over. Were there any moments that were totally opposite to that you would face any adversity from the locals?
Did you face any unfriendliness or adversity from locals?
Yeah. We had a bit of a unpleasant experience in Albania. We stopped in a campsite, which turned out was just somebody's backyard, really, that he's trying to develop into a business. He had a little community shop there. We got there, set up our camps after he removed the dead rabbit from the old patch.
Why does she always choose the area with a dead rabbit? I don't know, just...
No. And then he was very kind, and we were having a conversation, and he said, oh, I make my own cheese and my own wine, and he put the spread out, and then he was telling us how he's going to build a business step by step. He said step by step so many times that that's what we called him at the end. But he was very open about the fact that he's looking for a wife, and it doesn't matter the fact that, you know, Lara's married and when neither of us was single. And so he just decided that one of us is staying with him and being, you know, his wife, to help run the business.
Yeah.
So we tried the cheese, which was not nice, and the wine was even worse. Lara feigned some sort of illness that needed to go to bed early, and I needed to help her because she couldn't possibly go to bed on her own.
And then we slept with knives and our GPS Garmin, just in case, with the SO button mic ready to go.
The thing was, we weren't scared of him. We could have easily taken him on, but what I was concerned about, and I didn't voice that, I didn't want you to worry either, is if he phones a bunch of friends, then we're in a bit of a situation. We had an amazing day doing the TET in Albania up to that point. Then we decided that perhaps two girls on, you know, a lot of expensive kit and bikes out in the wilderness of Albania is not the safest option. So that was kind of when we stopped the TET route, and we just carried on the big roads and decided to just use the last 2 days, or was it 3, to relax and chill. So that means that we didn't get home completely exhausted. And we stopped in a seaside resort. I just loved it, sat by the pool and, you know, had a swim in the sea, and came back very relaxed. But that was the only time that.
And it was
felt
just
a bit
hospitality,
uncomfortable.
and that being smiley and happy at people had done us very well for the whole trip.
I mean, we were in Bosnia, sorry to get across you, but
exactly.
we were in Bosnia, in the middle of nowhere, in the middle of the woods, infested with bears, because the guy that we showed him where we're going, he said, don't go there, it's full of bears. And I thought, well, yeah, but the TET goes there, we are going.
What was scarier, the man with the wine or cheese or the bears?
But we were there with about 8 men in the log cabin. So we had our own log cabin that we rented for the night. And they said, come and have a few beers with us. I think there were 8 of them. We were drinking beer, we were having conversation. They loved the fact that I was there from Slovenia. I could talk whatever broken Serbian I could to get on with them. One of them spoke really good English. So, you know, we were all having a wonderful conversation, and not once did we feel threatened or worried. But in that campsite, which an official campsite, was a very different experience.
Yeah, but we just got the heebie-jeebies, we kept it safe, we spoke to each other, and we got out as soon as we can afterwards, and that was the closest time when it just didn't feel quite right. The rest of the time, it's hugely amicable across the motorbike community, for sure.
Oh, yeah, that experience didn't spoil the memories, or, I mean, it's a funny story now, but I certainly wouldn't base anything on that experience. Like, I would do it again and I'd go again, or maybe just not, go to Albania with a bigger group.
You trusted your gut. Hopefully the cheese didn't disrupt your guts. I can happily talk to
I'm
you.
talking about my guts.
I can talk to you all day about this journey. We don't have time, but what you can do is go onto your YouTube channel and watch it, because it is a fantastic watch. I've indulged in quite a bit of it of late, but in the meantime, everyone, please give it up for Maja and Lara. Guys, we're going to take a little 5-minute break now, and we'll be back with more guests.
Thank you very much, James. Very good. Very good.